Welcome to the Business Spotlight podcast. My name is Kay Cote, and I'm your host for today's episode. And today I have Caitlin Sanschagrin, co-owner of Bright Spot Pediatric Therapy, as my guest. We're going to be learning about her business, her journey to business ownership, and maybe some best practices that she's learned along the way, as well as some challenges she may have faced to give you that inside look to what it's really like to run and operate a business. If this is your first time on our channel, be sure to like and subscribe to get notifications when we drop episodes like this. Hi, Caitlin. It's so great to meet you. Thanks for being on the show.
Hi, Kay. Nice to meet you. It's so fun to be here. I'm excited. I'm a little nervous. It's my first time doing an interview like this, like on video. So yeah, but I'm excited.
Oh, it's going to be a great time. I'm so excited to dive in, learn about you and your business. And so let's kick it off. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
My name's Caitlin Sanschagrin. I am an occupational therapist. I hail from Alabama, so I'm a small town Southern girl. Moved over to Texas back in 2016, sounds right? 2016, and met my husband here, and we've started a family. I've got two little ones running around, which can be a little hectic whenever you are running a business. So they are tiny. I've got a 4-year-old and a 19-month-old.
Oh.
And my first actual big girl job, so to say, like my first big girl job out of school, I actually met my best friend and actually the co-owner of the business, Emily. And so we worked together at, again, like a pediatric practice. We kind of followed each other around. We both went to like another clinic together, and then we did some home health together. and for a long time we always talked about like creating a business together. We had done co-treats and things, and the vibe was just always there. We always loved those, like, quote unquote, like harder kids. They were our favorite to work with, and we just thought that, and we didn't have a name for it back then, but what we now know is neurodiversity affirming. Like, that was just the lens in which we wanted to treat all of our kids, and we thought we could do it. We waited a really long time because we thought we had to have all this capital to start like a brick and mortar practice. And whenever we were doing home health, we were like, we could just like do this. Why don't we do this? We could do this. And so honestly, our plan was just to be like a dynamic duo, just the two of us. And we honestly blew up. We opened our doors, technically, like started seeing clients September of 21. And we were already looking for another therapist in December of that same year. Yeah. And so had our first hire in January of 22. That therapist is still with us to this day. And yeah, it's just been kind of like a crazy but really fun blur since then. So
Wow, that's incredible. It's so nice to hear too that it really started to take off. That really is affirming too for y'all just getting into it and diving in. I think that's so cool.
yeah, it was crazy. We did not expect that at all. I think it was a mixture of, like, I mean, everyone knows like the Austin area is really like blowing up. Everybody's kind of moving. We're a little north of Austin too. But there are just so many kids that need help. And I think the convenience of us going into the homes too. I mean, a lot of families are, both parents are working, and
Mhm.
it's hard to be able to go to different appointments, not only therapy, but like medical appointments and um, school and school obligations and siblings and all the things that they have going on. So I think that was a component, but then also the relationships we had built within the community too. So yeah, it was really cool. We were shocked. We were shocked.
Oh, this is going to be a great conversation. I'm excited to learn more about it. And so, y'all have been going since 2021.
hmm
And what's kind of like, I want to know your why. You talked a little bit about you guys had this journey together, became business partners, but what's your personal why behind like working with kids, especially like the neurodivergent kids? I'd love to
hmm
dive into that.
Yeah. So yeah, kind of what I was saying before is those kiddos that were, and I'm using air quotes, but like behavior kids that kind of get a bad rep at school, as they have a lot of difficulties, barriers, challenges, and so they kind of get pegged as the bad kid at school. often because school is where a lot of the challenges are, but just in general. And Em and I just had the most fun with those kids, like just connecting with them and finding like what their strengths were, how we could use that to build and overcome their barriers. And so a lot of places, and I think it's just a systemic issue that kind of goes probably even beyond the conversation or scope of today, but we're taught in school that compliance can be a really solid, I guess, modality or method to use for kiddos. And we just found that, like, well, first of all, it didn't align with like who we were as humans. It didn't feel good to implement some of those things that we learned. And also it wasn't working. So then it was like, so why are we forcing something that doesn't feel good and is not like progressing to like good outcomes, right?
Mhm.
So that was a really big driving force, is that we really just wanted to have the freedom to practice the way that we wanted to. And again, she and I are big yappers, we say. And it was kind of funny because any clinic that we were working in, you know, a lot of times you get like a 5 or 10 minute gap in between sessions. And we were always historically running frantically throughout the clinic because we were talking so long to the families. And that was another component we felt was really missing from the practices we had been a part of before, is that we really wanted to build an actual relationship with these families, because that's a huge component of that child's life. And if we're not clued into what's going on, to all the different contexts of what's going on with that family and that kid, then, you know, 1 hour a week, one time a week really isn't going to have as big of an impact as what I went to school for and why I entered the field. Now, as far as the timing, you know, COVID was a big collective trauma that we all went through.
Mm.
I had a baby in October of 20. So that was scary. And at first I was like, wow, I'm really glad that we didn't open a business before this, because like what would have happened? But
Mhm.
then honestly, having my daughter was a big drive to do this, because we were working clinic hours. Sometimes I wasn't getting home till like 6:30, 7:30, and
Mhm.
she was asleep. So I would drop her off at daycare, and again, COVID precautions, so like drop her off at the door, not even get to walk into the building.
Mhm.
And I would call my husband crying, just like, I'm gonna quit, I'm gonna quit. And he's like, we're poor, please don't quit. we need we need the job, please don't. I'm like, okay. But and then coming home and she was asleep, and I just, that's not, you know, I Emily and I had kind of talked about, it's like we put this blood and sweat and tears, and we genuinely care about these kids that we work with, but my kids deserve that too.
Mhm.
So being able to find a true balance between serving kiddos in our community, but also being there for mine, was a big draw too. And now she's since had a baby as well. So we're really just, it was that true balance between work and like life. Like both of those things are important. Family is important. So we wanted to value that personally too, find ways to do that.
Oh, wow. That is a golden nugget of this conversation,
Oh,
thinking about a lot of, female founders or families who have, kiddos, young kiddos, and that's such a huge thing and such a beautiful why too, a part of your
yeah.
empowerment. I really love that. And kind of looking at your team now and what you're building, what does your team look like now? Is it the three of you or do you have other staff? Like how many team members do you have?
Yeah, great question. So we're right at, let's see, we're right at 9 or 10, 9 therapists. And then we have an amazing practice manager. And then it's Emily and myself. So what is that, like 13, 9, 10, 11, 12? We have 12 of
Mhm.
us total. We stayed true to our roots in terms of doing mobile outpatient for a really long time. But we found that there were some locations like just north of us that were a little more rural, that it was tricky to have a therapist drive all the way out there to service those kids. So we did end up opening a brick and mortar in August, which was like so stressful, but also it's been really fun. It's just, it's a lot that goes into it. It's a lot that goes into it.
100%.
July was a very dark time. Just trying to make sure we did everything like above board and doing it well and not making any honestly like stupid financial decisions along the way. Um, but yeah, so we opened up brick and mortar so that we could use it as a community resource, but also be able to service those kiddos in families that live a little farther out, that it's hard to kind of meet them just in a car as a therapist driving
Oh,
up that way. So
definitely. Well,
mhm.
congratulations on the
Thank you.
growth. Let's dive in. Like, I'd love to hear about maybe a challenge that you faced during that experience and how you overcame it.
Oh gosh. I mean, the experience of building out the brick and mortar, you know, it was beautiful timing, but also terrible timing in the sense of everything kind of fell into place. We started looking for things maybe um like that early spring of last year, and it seemed like the best spot. The only thing was that Emily was having her baby that summer, right? Her first, right, exactly.
And her first too. Oh my gosh.
Yes. So, um, yes, that was hard because we were going from like everything like 50-50 to her having, I mean, obviously she was out with a whole baby, a whole brand new baby. And so I was trying to figure out like how to make decisions that were in the best interest of both of us, um and find the balance of also like not bothering her because I didn't want to interrupt like newborn baby time that's so precious, and but I also was like kind of drowning. Right, so
Yeah.
it was really stressful, if I'm being honest, but honestly like the team that we have, there were a few of our team members that really just like stepped in, and from a place of just like loving what we do, loving Bright Spot, and like the relationship that also we had built. And there were a few people that, I mean, we were putting IKEA furniture together. We were we were there with the littles running around eating pizza and just, covered in sawdust and trying to get it done, get it together so that we were ready for opening day. And I really feel like it was just a testament to, again, like the relationships and connections we've built within the community and like within the little family that we've built up Bright Spot too. I mean, we really do mean it whenever we care about our team members, but also like their families. And I think that it just really came in clutch. The karma really just paid off
Oh my
that month.
gosh.
You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, that was probably the most recent and biggest challenge we've hit so far.
Wow. Well, that just shares so much about like where you're at and what you're doing and looking at as we're moving into the future, where do you see it going in the next, I don't know, 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, that's a great question. I actually was meeting with my business coach yesterday, and we were talking about this because I'm also a little neurodivergent myself, right? And so my brain is like, we need to do my dopamine, we need to do new things, and we can there are so many
Mine
ways that we
too.
can service the community. I love it. So I'm like, what can we do? What can we do? And so we have again talked about using like the brick and mortar as a community resource. So we really want to put on some more workshops to really equip like the community and the families that we serve, or even families that we don't, to understand what neurodiversity affirming is and how to use their kiddos' strengths to overcome those barriers, ways to make those kiddos feel more confident in themselves so that they are able to be successful in whatever that means to them, while also living authentically. I find that neurodiversity affirming has become this like buzzword, like marketing term that
Mhm.
people are claiming they're doing this left and right, but we're really losing the true meaning of what it is.
Mhm.
And anyway, so we would love to do some more workshops and support families that way. We would love to put on some like different, we're actually talking about trying to put some summer programs together for like special interest things. Like I've got one therapist that wants to do like a Pokemon special interest group so they can, yeah, so they can work on
Oh,
like
that's fun.
meaningful social communication, but executive functioning, and kind of just throwing in some of that fun like therapy stuff in there too. But
Mhm.
really finding and building a community and supporting just those kids in different ways and those families too, because it's hard being a parent and then you add neurodivergence or any kind of other variable, and it just makes life really hard. I mean, my little one has had some medical complexities that it's just like, I told my therapist one day, I was like, or I asked him, am I just being like a big baby? Like, are things, am I just like a whiny, And he was like, no, I think you're just playing life on like level hard. all the time. But I
Yeah.
think that's what our families experience too. And then you have all of this really confusing information that they're supposed to, they go to a provider, they get a diagnosis, and they get this huge pamphlet of, well, these are all the services in the area, so go do that, and then we'll meet in 6 months. And they're like, what? They don't know
Yeah.
anything about the therapy world. And anyway, I feel like I got off on a tangent a little bit, but just kind of using our space as a resource too, beyond just direct therapy services.
100%. And you touched on something that showed where you're using even the things that are in your own life that help kind of drive your passion for the work you do. And I think that's honestly a kind of a beautiful underlying silver lining too, because you can relate to the people you're working with and
100%.
that's
I've
kind
said
of
time and
relief.
time again, me becoming a parent has made me a better therapist. Because there's just, whenever you're brand new out of grad school, you're just like so on fire for the field, and what's best, but kind of, and you don't understand the nuances and like what's going on behind closed doors of what they're dealing with. So it's like, you might have a like a young 20 something giving this home program to this family of like, hours of things that they should be doing a week. Whenever you become a parent, you're like, what was I doing? Why?
Right.
Like, that's so unachievable. And when you know better, you do better. And so we grow and everything like that. But yeah, I mean, my little man right now he's brought it full circle. I did feeding therapy. That's always been one of my like special interests. And he actually had a feeding tube like not long after he was probably 4 or 5 months old. And so being on that parent side too, but being able to communicate to my families that do struggle with that, like, hey, like I was there too. I'm not, just because I'm an OT and know how to work on it, I can't therapize my own kid. I have to bring them to someone else because that's just, you can't wear every hat all the time. And so
Mm.
validating them for that too. So,
Yeah, definitely. You touched on another one for entrepreneurs in general. And yeah, we can't wear all the hats.
right.
And that kind of actually leads me into I want to dive into maybe something you're challenged with today in business. And let's like work through that. How are you working through that challenge right now?
Yeah. So, I guess there are a couple, and I don't know if it's just like healthcare industry or I don't know. I think everyone's kind of struggling to hire right now and hire like the right fit, not just a warm body to go in a seat. I think that's been a consistent struggle just because, well, I really don't know if it's just the market or, um, yeah, but being able to have, so the financial side of that too, right? So we have actually right now a therapist that is moving to a different city to start like a new adventure, and we're very happy for her. I think it's going to be a great fit. But it also kind of leaves us in this lurch of like, gosh, we've got some families that aren't going to have coverage. How do we support them without just like throwing them on someone's schedule that's not maybe clinically appropriate?
Mm,
And what do we do about that loss of income? Because we have talked to a few candidates, but every time that it ends up feeling like not a good fit, it's like, oh, but it would be really solid if we could just hire them and have them do the visits. So I think
mm,
being able to stay true to your values and not operating out of scarcity mindset has kind of been tricky, because
mm,
money. Because you need money to like pay rent and keep the power on in the clinic and I don't know, make payroll. Those things are important. And so yeah, that's been I think like a tricky thing of like how to find more people that fit like our mold, I guess.
definitely. And like kind of like diving a bit deeper into that, like say you're hiring.
Hmm.
Um, how how do your systems look for hiring and like how many interests or people who like either click or come visit or something or respond to the hiring opportunity and how many would you have to like say interview or see before you would find one that's a good fit like
Mm.
some of those numbers.
Yeah, that's tricky. I feel like one of the biggest things is getting in front of the right candidate.
Mhm.
Because I mean, Indeed has changed the way that they did their like job postings and things. And that was kind of, it was like per resume, you would pay per resume. We just don't have the budget to be throwing, um, $50 a day, like for one job ad to be posted on one platform. So that's been a really big struggle is how do we get in front of the right people? Because once we get to the point where we're meeting them in person, because we do a lot of like pre-screening, we'll chat with them via email to make sure like logistically things work. Like these are the kind of compensation models we have. This is the kind of practice that we own and the framework that we use. So by the time we get to be in person, it's more of like checking soft skills and seeing if that's a good fit.
Definitely.
Um, so yeah, I mean, I think my biggest thing is getting in front of the right person. Now, how many candidates do we interview versus actually offering? I don't know. I'd say it's probably 75% we end up offering that we get in front of because again, that main issue is finding the right person to even talk to.
Okay. Okay. That's good to know. Well, thank you for sharing that. And
Yeah.
oh, it's so I love hearing your journey, and I can tell you have this beautiful passion for what you do and purpose. And it's been so fun interviewing you. And now I'd like to dive into it's a fun question Q&A where we
Okay.
there are 4 questions you answer very top of mind. So it's called a rapid fire questions.
Okay. No pressure. I'm excited.
No pressure. So fun.
Okay.
Caitlin, the first question is what is the key to success for you?
What is the key to success for me? Um, for me, it is being able to live authentically. This sounds silly, but to live authentically and to be able to achieve both personal and professional goals, right? So
Mhm.
being able to have this business, but it not be a ball and chain, but it to actually be like a support to do more like family time for more like family vacations and connections and be able to go to my kids, school classroom parties and things like that. So being able to have to be both because I don't want to be just put into the mom box or just into the owner box. I want to be
Mhm.
people are more complex than that. So being able to be both authentically.
I think that's great. And the second question is, what is a piece of advice you have for other business owners?
You have to love what you do. Because if you're showing up to work every day, it's not just a 9 to 5 when you're owning a business. So you have to love it. It has to fill your cup in some way or another. You have to feel like you're achieving your mission and what is meaningful to you. Otherwise, it's just going to burn you out. And be kind of like a soul sucker. You want it to be a cup filler. So finding something that's important to you and being able to still achieve that through your business.
Definitely love that. No soul sucking.
No soul sucking.
Oh, that is so true. Question number 3 is, what is a piece of content you've taken in most recently? It could be a book or a podcast you've listened to, anything that kind of stood out to you.
Oh, okay. So, Brandon Siegel, are you familiar with him?
Sounds
Kind
familiar.
of, he's kind of niche to like private practice, but he has a podcast that he's actually putting back out. I'm so excited about it. The Private Practice Survival Guide.
Yeah.
And that has incredible content. I have gone through, he took a little bit of a hiatus, but it's coming back out. And so um he's just released another episode. And so that's what I've been
Oh,
consuming. Yeah, he's
that's good.
really good. He has such valuable information. He's such like a kind and genuine human too. So I highly recommend his content.
Definitely. That sounds
Mhm.
incredible. Final question in the 4 rapid fires is, if you could wave a magic wand and overnight rapidly improve one aspect of your business, what would it be?
Oh God, just one aspect. Okay. I think my magic wand would be to um we really struggle with the insurance model just because insurance reimbursement can really drive what they think the monetary value of therapy should be. I disagree with it. So if I can wave a magic wand, it would be to improve like our funding sources that way so that we didn't have to answer to an outside entity about what is valuable and necessary to make an impact in this kid's life.
Oh, wow. That's powerful. Well, thank you so much for sharing those rapid fires. Before we get to the final question of the day, how can people connect with you and your business online?
Oh, yeah. So we do have social media. I'm trying really hard to be consistent about content, but we have Facebook, Instagram. Sometimes I get on TikTok. It's all Bright Spot Peds is the handle. And then we have a website, brightspotpediatrics.com. And that's honestly the easiest way I think to connect with us there. So
Wonderful. Thank you, Caitlin, for our final
yeah,
question today. What is most inspiring to you today?
it's most inspiring to me today. Um, okay, that's a tricky one. I feel like it's a little off topic, but I am inspired by the younger generation. Like I feel like Gen Z is coming through and really reclaiming what is important to them, and really advocating for themselves. And I think that millennials and onward could honestly learn a lot from that. That they're just kind of reclaiming their own meaningful occupation. So that's kind of inspiring to me. Yeah. So being able, because again, it goes back to that living authentically. I think that that's really important to be able to do that in all aspects of life. So yeah, the younger
What
generation is giving me hope.
I love that. That is a great purpose and great hope. Like this has been such a fun conversation. I wish you all
Yeah.
the best in your business. Thank you so much for sharing with me today.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been a pleasure. It's been fun.